We are
Okay.
on air again. There was some power interruption, so now they will carry on now.
Yeah, so we were discussing about the super, and I'm again going to discuss this particular concept. So super is nothing. It is a reference to the parent constructor function or a class. Okay. So there are multiple ways in which you can, you know, execute this super function. Uh, Let me give you the simple example. Like we have a derived class which is extending its properties from the base class, and I have a constructor, and what it is going to do behind the scene is like the when I will try to execute the super, it is going to give me the new object, and my this will be initialized with that object, and that is the reason every time when I will be try to start referencing the this without using the super, I will get error, because behind the scene this is happening, and this is the logic by whichever this will be initialized by using the super keyword.
So
So
here the constructor of the base class will be called when you do
yes, yes.
super.
The constructor base class will be called, and you don't have to mention this new with the base class. You just have to call this super by using this. No, you don't have to initialize it with the new keyword. So let us take the second example. I have the sum class, which is the parent class, and it has the constructor itself, which has the name and the age property. It has the prototypal property, which is the same name. I have the child class, which is extending its property from the base class, and that has itself a constructor function, which is the initialization logic of the child class object. Here I am calling this super with the name and the age. So behind the scene, the super will be referencing to this particular class, and it is going to initialize the constructor of this class with the name and age. And here I want to my derived class to have a different say name. I want to override that functionality, so I have mentioned a say name here also. And what will happen is like the my child, which is the instant of the child, will have the Dwayne and the 27 as the properties. It will have the say name functionality also, but that functionality is not this one. It will be the overridden functionality which I have used here. So how I am overriding this? So what is happening is like when I am trying to access this say name, my object will be looked first. It doesn't have the say name functionality. So JavaScript will start looking into the underscore underscore proto. In underscore underscore proto, at the first level, I will get this function, and that function will be executed. So let us say if this function is not there, again, my underscore underscore proto doesn't have the say name functionality, but it has again the underscore underscore proto, which is pointing to this prototype. So here, my say name will be executed, and I will get alert, which will be the this dot name, and the name is Dwayne itself. So this is how I'm, inheriting the properties from the base class to the child class, and how I am overriding my methods by using the delegation concept.
So one thing over here, is it also possible to extend the function of the base class? Suppose you don't want to override it,
Okay.
is there some way to extend the function?
You want to extend the function.
Uh, is there any
Extend
way
the
you can?
function. No, you can't do that. I mean, you can create a new function, but you can't extend the same function into the base class. The moment you will mention the same name, you will get the new function here. But yes, in your derived class prototypal function, you can access this parent class prototypal function, which is the same name, by referencing the super dot
Okay,
say name.
but I cannot extend the function, right?
No, you cannot extend the function.
Okay.
Okay, so two use cases. First is to initialize my child class constructor logic by calling here, and the second use case is if I want to access the parent class prototypal function, I can use super dot, parent class method, and I will get the reference of that particular function. So, all right. So let us take the third example. So here I am using the static keyword. I will tell you about this later. But let us first, try to visualize what is happening in this particular example. So here again, I have a parent which has a start prototypal function. And remember, see here, I haven't used the constructor. So you will not get error here. Behind the scene, the JavaScript is going to, by default inject a default constructor. Here I have a static start function also. And one thing I want to tell you, like static methods are those methods which are not, inherited into the instances. They stick to the parent class itself. I mean, if I will get the instance of this class parent, I will not, access. I can't access a static static start method on that particular instance. In order to access that, I used to use this syntax like parent dot static start. Then I can access that. So I have the child class which is extending its properties from the parent class. It has a constructor. It doesn't have a constructor. And behind the scene, the JavaScript is going to inject constructor, and also, it will take care of the super call. It is going to call the super by the undefined properties, which I haven't passed here. It has two methods. The one is the prototypal, which is the child start, and the second one is the static, which will stick to the parent class itself. It will not get into the instances of this particular child class. So I created a jack by initializing this class. So I will get a child start into the prototype, which is fine. I can access that. But the moment, I will try to access this function, this function will be executed. The first line will be fine. I can access this parent class prototypal method into my child class prototypal method, and this will work fine. But this will not work fine. Because my super doesn't have the static function, and it will give you an error, like the function, this line will give you an error. Okay, so take care of that. If you are accessing the prototypal methods by using the super, it will work fine. Otherwise, you can't access the static method by using the super keyword. You will get an error. But what about this? I also have this static, child start method. But here, I'm able to access this function. It will work fine. And see here, I am using this child class, this child class. I'm not using the instance. I am directly, accessing the static method from here. So that is the difference between the prototypal and the static method, because the static method will stick to your classes, whereas the prototypal methods will, get into your instances. And static method will not be present on instances. So my jack will not be having this method.
So okay. The purpose of a static method, so if you want some methods just to stick to the classes, not to the inherited ones, then you use static.
Yes.
If it is the other way around, you use prototype, correct?
Yes. If you want some of the functionality, which you don't want to get inherited to the prototypal chain, then you can use the static functions. And in ES5, you can do same. Like our functions are objects. So in ES5, how to use the static methods, you can just use like this parent dot static function equal to function declaration. So that will be your static function. It will not, get into the prototypal chain. So this is the super keyword. Super keyword is very, so behind the scene, it will take care of the initialization logic of the derived classes. Also, you can access the parent class prototypal methods. But here, try to visualize, I am only able to access my child in my child class, I'm able to access the parent class method by using the super. What if I want to do the opposite of this? What if I want to, access some of the child methods into the parent class itself? Then, new.target keyword has been introduced. Okay, so we will discuss that later. First, let us see what are the static methods. I think you guys are familiar about this static methods. I can skip this section here itself. Is it fine?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to skip this. Okay. So let us discuss about the new.target, which is another a new a keyword which has been introduced. So new.target is the property of the constructor of the class, which will be undefined if I will be executing that class as a regular function. But it will be not undefined if I will be executing that class with a new constructor, with a new keyword. So I have the person class here, which has the constructor and the name property. And I have the employee subclass, which is extending from the base class. It also has the constructor, and I use the super to initialize my this class properties. And it has its own property like this.title. I created a John person, John.do. So here I have used a new keyword. So in this class, in this constructor, my new.target will be this class. And every function in JavaScript has the name property. So my new.target, which is this class, dot name will be person, because it is the name of this function. Similarly, I have created a Lily itself by invoking new.employee. This time, I'm invoking this constructor function instead of this. Here, I have passed. I will do this. My constructor will be initialized. He will initialize the parent class constructor. My debugger will go there. And I will get the name property, which I have passed here in super.name, which is fine. And here, my console.log new.target.name will be pointing to now the employee class. It will not be pointing to the person itself, because now I have initialized my class, which is the employee, and my new.target will be pointing to this class. Are you guys clear about this?
Yes.
Yes. So just try to visualize. I mean, you can have the reference of your child class into your parent class. You have that. I mean, now the new.target is pointing to the employee class. And by using new.target dot static function, you can access the functions of your derived class into the parent class. So in the earlier cases, you were able to access from the parent to the derived class by the super, but here you can do the opposite by using the new.target. How to do that? Let us say this example. Again, the parent, it has the constructor, and here the new.target.static child start, which is this static method. And now I am initializing my child class. Therefore, my new.target will be pointing to this function. It has this static child property, so I am able to execute that function here. I will not get an error. So you are able to access the child static methods into the parent static method, which is cool.
Is it possible to access the prototypal methods from?
Is it possible to access the prototypal method? No, that is not possible. On the static method will be able to, you will be able to access that, because your new.target will be pointing directly to the parent class, Okay, and the parent has the static methods which are binding to these parent class. So that is the reason you are able to access only the static method but no the prototyper.
If I do a child dot prototype, a new dot target dot prototype, it will be undefined.
New target dot prototype.
New dot target dot prototype. Because if it is an object, then it must be having all the properties of that class.
Can we see that in this? We'll just
I don't.
take
Will be able to. Will you be able to execute?
We can check here itself.
Okay.
So you guys are able to see?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is my parent. Let us say it has the prototype prot A, the prototypal method, and here I am going to execute dot proto A.
Can you console new dot
No,
target?
I can't console dot target. It will give error. I don't know how, but these wrapper functions
Oh yeah.
they will give an error if you will try to console dot log super or console dot log new target. You will get an error here because they don't want to reveal what is the what the super and what the new dot target is pointing to. It's just for the security purpose they have denied that. So console.log hello JS trends. Okay. So I got the jack here and here I will get this method. Cool. I think we can see what will be the.
Also one more line after that, new dot target dot prototype.
So you can't console.log that. How you
I just want to see if it returns you an object or if it returns undefined.
so how to check that? I mean,
New dot target dot prototype. Just leave it, and it's not a function. Just leave it and press. Yeah, semicolon. Yeah, cool.
this line will take care of that. If I am having the reference of the prototype, then this will work, right? New dot target or proto A.
Yeah, maybe we can. Okay. Let's try this. What happens?
So new dot target or proto is not a function. No, we cannot access that.
Okay.
Only the static one will be accessed because the static function will stick to your parent classes itself, and that is the reason you can access that.
Okay.
Again, I get the error, the same error. I can't do that.
Okay.
All right. So we are familiar with the prototype methods. What are the static methods? Okay. When to use prototype or the static method. So what are the what are the prototypes? What are the constructor? What are the constructor functions? What behind the scene the new keyword does. And now we are going to discuss about the composition versus inheritance. So which one to prefer and which is more promising? There is a debate going on. Some people prefer the composition and some prefer the inheritance. And personally, we as a developer, most of the time we use this one, inheritance. But there are certain projects which with time becomes very complex. And when the project becomes complex, I mean like the classes becomes complex, and there is a lot of inheritance which is going on. Like many prototypal chaining is happening. You are accessing some of the properties from this class. That particular class is accessing from the parent class, and just try to visualize if after spending 6 months in this particular project, if there is a need to change the parent class itself, then you make you need to be careful, because you're changing the parent blueprint, and that will lead to so many of errors or so many of problems. Whereas the composition works in a different way. It tells if you want to create an object, instead of inheriting from the parent one and accessing the properties, you need to pass what you want. Like, I want a soldier. It should have the static property like name, and it should have the property like fight and speak. So use the composition in this case. You have to manually compose your object instead of making the constructor function. So I will tell you about the benefits later, but let us try this example. Let us say you have the functionality like feed1, feed2, feed3, and feed4. Now your C object needs the feed1 and feed3. The D needs the feed1 and feed2 and feed4. Okay. So in the constructor function world, to achieve this is very difficult, because if you will give all the properties to the parent class, and you want the C and the D instances to have only these methods, it is not possible. You will get all of the methods instead of feed1 and feed3. But in the composition world, you can choose what functionality you want. You can get the object and you can compose it with the feed1 and feed3. Here also you can get the D object, which you can initialize it with the feed1, feed2, and feed4 functionality. So also so you are just getting those of the functionality which you are needing, not all of the functionality. And that is the reason are you getting my point?
Yes.
Yes. So instead of getting all the functionality from the parent class and using only 2 to 3 functions, try to compose your objects and pass the functionality here. There is a lot of disturbance which is going on. All right, guys. So this problem is called a gorilla in the jungle problem, because you wanted a gorilla, but you get the gorilla, which is fine, but you get a gorilla with a banana. Atishay, okay, so you get the gorilla with the banana, and also you get the whole jungle. I mean, you just wanted a gorilla, but you are getting a lot of functionality beside that gorilla itself, which is the problem which comes into the inheritance by using the constructor function. So let us say this example. I will take only 2 minutes. So I have the guitar amp, which has a constructor function, and I have given the properties here. I have the bass amp, which is extending its property from the guitar amp. Okay. And I have the channel strip, which is extending its property from the bass amp. So it is, a 3 level of inheritance which is happening. But my channel strip doesn't want, a cabinet property, but still it is getting that. I don't want it, but I am getting that. So this is the gorilla with the banana in the jungle problem. I just wanted some of the functionality, but I am getting extra functionality, which I'm not going to use in future. How to get rid of that? Use composition. Here, the channel strip, try to compose your object by only passing those of the functionality which you want on that project or on that object. So I haven't passed the cabinet property here, so I will not get that. So my object only has those property which I have passed explicitly. So this is where the composition shines. So I will recommend you guys, if the inheritance is till the level 2 or 3, if you are pretty sure like my base classes or the child classes are not going to change in future so much, then use the constructor functions. Otherwise, if you are concerned about that the classes are going to change in future, then use the composition, because in composition you will not get this kind of problem. You will not inherit the extra functionality. So prefer so both are good, but in different use cases you can use compositions, in different use cases you can use the classes.
Right.
So this is a very a debatable topic, and you can read about that. I have just given the overview of this composition versus inheritance, but try to Google it and try to see what is happening. So today, guys, we have looked at the class keyword, we have looked at the prototype, how to do the inheritance and all. And we are trying our best to spread the knowledge, and we just want your feedback, we want your support. Try to subscribe our channel, and we will be grateful. And more talks are coming in future, and we will tell you about that. Anything you guys want to say?
So this was a fantastic talk. We learned a lot about ES6 classes, particularly inheritance, how prototype work, what is the difference between underscore, prototype. Lot of new things covered. So
Okay.
really good talk from the base time.
Okay, tell me one thing. I mean, how you guys were familiar of these topics if this talk will not happen? I mean, you guys were familiar with all the topics or not?
So I think there was a lot of confusion around how
Yes.
inheritance really works. What is the actual meaning of underscore proto, and what happens behind the scene? So now everything is clear that what happens behind the scene when you do a super, when you do a extend keyword, how these things are drawn in parallel in ES5. So yeah, good understanding.
And also, I haven't seen a lot of people using inheritance in JavaScript. They just stick to the basic, like you said, composition and all, but
Yeah.
they avoid inheritance in their code. I'm not sure why they don't do it. Either they are not familiar of the inheritance properly, or maybe they have some confusion around that. So definitely, this talk will help them to get their doubts clear. And even now, I'm more confident to use inheritance
So
in
guys,
my
do you use, I mean, any kind of these approaches in production, especially nowadays? Do you use, have you used any of these approaches?
Okay. All right. So this is the most misunderstood topic, and we have discussed about this topic, and I don't have anything else to say. And maybe we will see you next week or with a new talk, and Shivam will be deriving that talk. So stay tuned. And I
Yep.
will put the document link into the comments, so you can go through that document. All right.
Also,
Yeah.
if you have any picks, tricks, you can always share.
Yes. Okay. Do you guys have any tips and tricks?
So there is an app which is very popular, but still Popcorn Time. If you have used, I think everyone is using in Mac. So it is a movie streaming app. So you can directly down view any movie in HD, which is free. So it is a very fantastic app. Any movie, everything is available on Popcorn Time. The seasons, the movies, and all. I guess every Mac user is using this.
Okay. Yeah, I had a tip around one tool that I really use for the API development. It's Postman. You must have seen or
Yeah, yeah,
used it.
yeah.
Yes.
You're aware of this. It's very useful to check the response of some API call. You can set headers and all. Yeah, I have found it really useful. You can also directly import your URL from your browser and put it into Postman and see the results for that. Yep.
There is also a homebrew package for YouTube download. If you want to download YouTube videos directly from the command line, you can download that homebrew package and say YouTube, the link of that URL, you can directly download any video from your command line.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so in my current company, I was playing with the Android application, and I wanted to check the traffic. So I used the Charles, which is a tool, and you can it is a proxy, and you can check the traffic there. And I needed that to inspect the responses of the APIs. So I used it. It is a very good tool, and you should explore that. It's Charles. I will mention that into the comment.
Yeah, please
Oh,
mention.
Okay,
cool.
guys. I think we should leave now. Nice discussion.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Bye
you,
bye.
guys. Thank you.
See you in the next.
Thanks.